Hey everyone, welcome to a video I wanted to make called A Stoic Approach to League. In this video, I want to go over some of the Stoic principles that I learned in Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and how I can apply them to my League journey and League gameplay, and I'm hoping that you can too, in order to improve yourself and find a much more enjoyable time climbing and improving in solo queue. And later, I want to also touch on how these principles apply to your everyday lives and pursuits. Specifically in this video, I want to talk about the idea of externals and how if you shift your focus away from blaming these externals as a result of your own faults, then you'll be able to focus on yourself and find much more success in that way. So to start, I just want to give a few sentences that is an oversimplified version of what I believe to be the most important principles of Stoicism that I want to bring up in this video. So first, Stoicism is a way of thinking focused on adhering to nature and the natural way of the world, understanding that nature has its own way of processing, and we must understand the way in which nature is going to work and the things that can happen to us to make sure that we can overcome them. On top of that, it's not concerning yourself with things outside of your control. That is making sure that if it's outside of your control, accepting it as something that may happen or will happen, but not getting frustrated over this idea of like, I can't control it, but I really want to because it's crucial to my success because at the end of the day, it's not going to be. And finally, taking advantage of your inconveniences to better yourself. That is, when things don't happen the way you want them to, when things outside of your control end up in a bad state, then you're able to kind of turn the tides and make sure that you can find some learning out of it. You can grow as a person out of it, or find strength in any way. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote a collection of books titled Meditations. And in this book, he teaches us the Stoic principles that he held himself most to. A common theme in this book is to stop blaming externals and put your efforts into what you do have control over. Like I said in the last slide, if you're constantly putting yourself in a victim mentality where everything is going wrong for you, the world is out to get you, then you're never going to realize the mistakes that you're making and you're never going to better yourself because at the end of the day, you're putting efforts into something you can't control and then you're just at the will of nature. Finally, to set the tone and theme for the rest of this video, I want to share a quote that really goes into this topic in a beautiful way, I think. What humans experience is part of the human experience. Nothing that can happen is unusual or unnatural, and there's no sense in complaining. Nature does not make us endure what is unendurable. External things are not the problem, it's your assessment of them, which you can erase right now. If your problem is something in your own character, who's stopping you from setting your mind straight? I find these two paragraphs to be incredibly powerful. First, it talks about how nothing that can happen is unusual or unnatural. It is up to us to understand what can happen in nature, what can happen while we're going through a League of Legends game or trying to find success in some goal that we have. Things are going to go wrong, and we have to realize this. If we're constantly thinking everything is going to go right for us, as soon as things don't, then we're going to be angry, frustrated, and not want to continue on this path. And in the final sentence, it says if the problem is coming from your own character, you are the only person that can really change that. And that reminder is something very important because at the end of the day, you are the only person that can control your thoughts and actions. It is up to you to make sure that your mind is set straight so that you can accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So, what is part of the League of Legends experience? Well, at its worst state, this is what it is. People are going to flame you, you will make game losing mistakes, and you will lose games because of your team. You're going to go on lock streaks, you're going to get pinged by your team, and you're going to get demoted at some point. It is just going to happen. These are inevitable things that will happen when you're playing League of Legends and trying to improve. It is up to us to make sure that we're preparing ourselves, realizing, okay, these things will happen. It's a natural thing. I shouldn't be surprised when these things happen. I shouldn't be frustrated when they do. I have to turn my attention to things that I could have controlled, I could have changed. And if you can do that, then you're going to find much more success. So let's look at a couple of League of Legends examples and see how we can tie these topics in and make sure that we're learning from our mistakes. So let's take a look at this first example. I'm playing Syndra and I'm currently in the top lane. My team has just finished sieging mid and has placed the Herald down, which is going to hit the Inhib tower, and are now rotating up to me to help me siege this top tier 2. I see Renekton very low, which I've gotten him in terms of just trading, and I am posturing very aggressively to try and dive this guy as my team rotates up. So let's see how the situation plays out. So we look for the dive. I completely whiff a QE. Renekton ults. The team shows up. And me and Silas are forced to run away. Unfortunately, Silas gets a little greedy, trying to turn for whatever reason. I try to help him out. Turn back multiple times, even looking at the wave topside. Walking into 2 people. And eventually another whiff stun. I die here. And look at what I do. Immediately I go and I ping Silas twice and I ping Xerath twice. For whatever reason, I am just immediately geared towards blaming them. I haven't done well this game. I mean, I'm 1-1-2 before this death, and I've just been letting my team carry me basically the entire game. But as soon as something bad goes wrong, I want to look to other people to blame, right? Oh, Silas and Xerath were the ones diving this tower, so it must be their fault. And it looks almost delusional when I show you it in reference to an outside perspective. But in the game, this is truly how I felt. Oh, these guys were diving when I didn't want to. Look how many pings I ping. I say on my way. I try to force this going on. I know their team is coming up. I know that my Caitlyn is dead for another 14 seconds. It's up to me to realize, okay, this is a game-losing decision that I need to call off. And if I can do that, we can take our resets, come back on map, get the Baron, and the game is just won for free. So let's take a look at a different example. In this one, I'm playing Sentrial once again, but this time very early in the game, and I'm up against an Azir. I just burned his flash, and I really want to make sure that he's denied a blot on this wave. I have a Rek'Sai jungle who should be able to easily come in and either kill him or force him off the wave, and he's going to lose a lot for it. My support is coming as well, but you can see it's also a 3v3. If you look at the bottom minimap, you can see that there's 3 enemy orbs. So this is going to be a 3v3 fight if I want to try and look at the Azir. Let's see how the situation plays out. I see Amumu and Rek'Sai go onto the bottom side. Azir's dash in, and I think that it's a complete mistake. So what do? I get aggressive and greedy, and simply end up dying for it. Fortunately, I mean, yeah, Rek'Sai ends up killing this Azir barely by the skin of his teeth, which I think was honestly a mistake by the Azir. But you can see, once again, what did I immediately do as soon as this happened? I started question mark pinging my Rek'Sai and the Azir. I was so frustrated in the moment, thinking, this guy has to die, he has no flash, he's been playing the lane so bad, and yet he gets away with this. This was my exact thoughts on the game. I can remember it so vividly. But what did I fail to realize? I looked back at the situation and realized, well, here I am, and Amumu's coming to help me when I'm back into the lane, and immediately I get ganked by Graves, which forces me to burn my flash. Had I had flash for that situation before, I was able to bait it out easier, but instead I burned my flash here. And not only that, but when I actually want to go on the Azir, I'm so tunneled on trying to kill my enemy laner that I don't see that my team is dealing with their jungler and support on the other side, right? Like, I stun at a complete inopportune time. And this guy dashes in. He's not trolling my Rek'Sai far away, but I'm just so tunneled and emotional on wanting to get the best of him that I end up making the very bad mistake here. So here we are in this last example. In this one, I'm actually playing Talia jungle in a game that has not gone exactly perfect for us so far. Their Jax looks like they're doing very well into the Malphite, but the one saving grace I believe in this game is the Yasuo. I mean, I've seen him perform very well on Yasuo before, and I want to play around him, and if I can combo with him, get a lot of kills off of him, then this is where I'm thinking we'll find our win. And also I want to make sure I keep my farm up, and at this point I just want to completely avoid the top lane. But my Blitzcrank is roaming up top side, and my Malphite is pinging that he needs to crash this wave. So in anger, I remember making this decision very much in anger. Like, I wanted to just go to Wolves, but my Blitzcrank is just spam pinging. He's saying, go to top side, let's make this top side play. So in anger, I say, okay, I'll just follow the Blitzcrank here. So you see the Zax trades, and he uses his jump. And at this point, I'm thinking Malphite needs to ult right now. If he ults right now, I can combo him off of it, and the guy just dies. But Malphite just doesn't ult. And I get so mad. You see, I just sit AFK, and I get upset. So what do? I combo the minions to try and take it from him because I'm angry, and then I just walk away. And then my Malphite and my Blitzcrank make the dive play anyway, so I have to go back up. I try to kill him, but I can't do it. He gets away because he has a flash now. And then Kha'Zix ends up cleaning up and getting some kills. I was so frustrated in this moment, saying, oh, I don't want to go top in the first place, but now I'm forced to, as if I was forced to. And even if I felt like it was the better play, I could have adapted and said, okay, yeah, I needed to go top and I needed to combo him. But just because Malphite didn't ult at the exact time that I thought he should have, I got angry, I took the minions, and I walked away knowing that they were still going to go for this play. Had I just been more patient, more understanding, realized that an opportunity would have present itself at a different time, then I could know I could make this play much, much better, and I could walk away with a kill and shutting down the Jax in a massive way where he misses an entire wave. I hope those league examples kind of highlight the reason why this way of thinking is so important to understanding why things happen the way they do in a game and what you can do to actually change the outcome of situations that you thought you weren't able to before. But I kind of want to step away from league specifically and more talk about the real life applications and how I think that if you don't hold this idea close to your heart, then you're going to end up very complacent in anything that you go about. The reason I think this is that if you accept your situation and assume that you can't overcome external problems, it'll lead to a lack of curiosity and vigor that is required to accomplish difficult tasks. If you don't seek to understand the reason why things happen the way they do, then we can only become more complacent and never be able to overcome the hardest challenges that I believe truly shape legends. I mean, this is what separates people that get stuck in a specific place and are unable to overcome it, and those who, despite all the odds, what seems to be impossible, they make happen. It's because they really dig deep and find every nook and cranny that they haven't explored yet, making sure that they're optimizing anything that they control to make sure that they can build their way to the top and become the best at what they do. So, whether it's a solo queue ranked goal or a passion project that you have, it is important to hold this idea close to you. Be curious and look for all the things that you can influence. Turn your mind away from the things you can't control because it'll just turn into a pity party where you think that you can't overcome hard things because it's outside of your control. It is not the case. There are always things you can find, always things that you can make better, always decisions that you can make that will improve your life. And I really believe that this is a foundation that will help you in any pursuit that you take on. So I want to leave you with one final quote for meditations that I really think wraps up the entire video into a solid idea. And I hope that it gives you something to think about as you try to apply these principles into your everyday. Don't let anything deter you, other people's misbehavior, your own misperceptions, what people will say, or the feelings of the body that cover you. And if, when it's time to depart, you shun everything outside except your mind and divinity within, if it isn't ceasing to live that you're afraid of, but never beginning to live properly, then you'll be worthy of the world that made you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something new or found a new perspective on some issues that you've been facing. I hope that you can apply these principles into your everyday pursuits and find success with them.